Great game, like Skyrim with cars. I have a lot of trouble figuring out what exactly to say here. How do you review Putt Putt Saves the Zoo? You might as well ask me to write a review of Citizen Kane. At a certain point, the cultural value of a creation rises above criticism. Sure, Putt Putt Saves the Zoo has many flaws, but at its core, it's become so ingrained in the American zeitgeist that to critique it is as unpatriotic as pissing on the American flag. Instead, I want to offer a thoughtful and nuanced critique of the philosophy extolled in Putt Putt Saves the Zoo. The relationship between the United States and France has existed since the war for our freedom from the British tyranny began. On February 6, 1778, the treaties of the amity and commerce of the alliance were signed. In May 1778, the Continental Congress ratified them. 1 month later, war between Britain and France formally began when a British squadron fired upon two French ships. Putt Putt is a love story to that partnership, as the idealistic American indeterminism mingles with the absurdity of French philosopher Albert Camus. We are brought to the zoo, fresh and unaware of the pains of life, and introduced to our hero, Putt Putt. Putt Putt matches the classic definition of Byronic hero. He's cynical, tired, and alcoholic even, and searches for love in meaningless sexual relationships. He's drowning in his own nihilism, has broken down. Freshman adventure through time, Putt Putt travels through time, and his realization that God is truly dead. He struggles to find meaning in life. Absurdism at its core is truly making peace, the realization that there is no God and there is no higher meaning. It's why the myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus begins with the question of whether or not to kill oneself upon said realization. Putt Putt wanders into the zoo, adrift and drunk, seeking to end it all. There, amongst the wreckage of human civilization, Putt Putt meets the ghost of Robert Hillary Kane, who explains to him the true freedom that Putt Putt has. There's no meaning, and there is no higher power, then Putt Putt is truly free to be who he wants to be. He's no longer bound by anyone's expectations. He's truly reached nirvana, even if he hasn't figured that out yet, and so Putt Putt travels through the zoo, which is actually the wreckage of New York City, millennia after the fall of humanity, and meets the remnants of humanity, primitive and caring for the animals that land around them. He sees them as truly at peace and realizes that none of them have any concept or meaning of a greater purpose, and they are in fact truly happy. He grows with them, gets to know them, and falls in love with their simple way of life. At the end, Putt Putt has made peace with the lack of greater meaning in the universe, and thus dies with a smile, ending the Putt Putt franchise on a high note. For those of us here since the beginning, it was difficult to watch our hero start so low, but it is incredibly uplifting and satisfying to see him finally get the peaceful end he deserved. Putt Putt is a love letter to not only the Putt Putt franchise, but existentialism as a whole. It's truly beautiful. I wish my father wasn't dead.